Hello internet, my name's Lave. I watched Ant-Man and now I'm going to tell you lucky people what I thought about it. Ant-Man came out this week to buy and rent on Blu-ray and I'm really gutted I didn't go to see this in the cinema because I had a really good time with it. I guess I should have shown more faith because if they can make Guardians of the Galaxy work, they can make another lesser known Marvel character work, and they have, so I bought it on Blu-ray. So Ant-Man opens in 1989 and introduces us to Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, with a digital facelift. I want to say it's really convincing CGI, but my brain knows that Michael Douglas is old, so I'm not sure if they've crossed the uncanny valley. Anyway, so Hank Pym's pissed off with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Tony Stark's dad, Howard, for trying to recreate his technology called the Pym particle, which allows him to shrink down to the size of an ant. So he takes his suit and technology and hides it to try and prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Flash forward to present day and his young protege Darren Cross, played by Corey Stoll, has voted him out of his company and created his own suit, the Yellow Jacket, complete with Star Wars blaster sounds. But he hasn't cracked the formula to shrink organic material down to Ant-Man size. So Hank Pym has to recruit someone younger to come in and help him steal back his technology and the new suit. In comes Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd. Brilliant casting, and now we have our movie. The first act does get bogged down with exposition and the backstory of Scott Lang, along with Darren Cross's. Both are pretty cliche. Ex-crook trying to change his ways because he's got a young daughter to think of. The pissed off protege with a similar story arc to Obadiah Stane from Iron Man. But you let it slide because the dialogue is zippy. There are some good gags in between. Gotta give props to the little girl who plays Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie Lang. Normally child actors can derail scenes for me, but she really made me laugh. So the second and third act are where things get really fun, with Hank Pym training Scott Lang how to use the suit and how to control the legion of ants. Got different ants for different types of situations. I really like the pseudo-science behind it all. It kind of makes sense. So the idea is that the Pym particle shrinks the spaces between atoms, and as you get smaller, the energy increases. So when you're smaller, you're actually punching with the power of a bullet. I'm sure I've heard it somewhere that 99% of atoms is actually nothing, and the electrons and the nucleus in between. So kind of makes sense to me. Really cool and fun stuff. So the film is obviously a shrinking movie, but it's also a heist movie. The whole concept is really tongue-in-cheek, so it was really important that they got the tone right for this. I was confident they were going to achieve that with Edgar Wright in the director's chair. You know Edgar Wright, famous for the Cornetto trilogy and Scott Pilgrim, criminally underrated. He left during production for creative differences. I think he wanted to make it more of a standalone film and not connect it so much to the rest of the MCU. Bloody creative differences. So Peyton Reed stepped up as director and had to steady the ship, and props to him for doing that. It must have been particularly difficult to put his own creative stamp on it, considering how far along in the production process that Edgar Wright got. And the first act aside, everything flows pretty smoothly. Ironically enough, I did like the references to the other Marvel characters and the other films that have gone before it. You don't necessarily have to have seen them, but it is funny when they talk about Tony Stark or the Avengers, and there is a cameo from one of the Avengers at one point. No spoilers. What I find most interesting about Ant-Man is that the film is marketed towards being a redemption story between Paul Rudd and his daughter. For me, the emotional core of this film is the relationship between Hank Pym and his daughter Hope, played by Evangeline Lilly. There's a really great scene between the two of them when she finds out a bit more about his past. You actually see snippets of Michael Douglas as Ant-Man in the past, taking out armies, I guess, in the midst of the Cold War. Cool. So Ant-Man, I really enjoyed it, and pause the video now if you want to look at my enjoyment tracker. All in all, if you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and a fan of Ant-Man in general, you will love this film. If you're more of a casual viewer and you haven't really followed the other films, I think you can still watch this and enjoy it. The MCU definitely isn't showing any signs of fatigue, and hopefully the fans aren't, because there's a whole slew of them coming out in the next couple of years. I, for one, am looking forward to it all. Growing up, I never thought I'd see these kind of films being made, and they are, which is great. So that's my question for this video. Which of the Marvel films due to be released in the next few years are you looking forward to the most? Tell me what you think in the comments. For me, Civil War looks like it's going to kill it. Comment. Subscribe